there. Welcome back to my channel. So glad that you are here. And yeah, so we are going to continue this conversation of Real Housewives of New Jersey. I want to say Orange County, New Jersey. I had shared in a previous video earlier. If you haven't gotten a chance to check that out, I hope that you will do so after this video. And yeah, I had went through some conversations that the ladies are having on the cast. As we know, season 14 was quite a roller coaster of a season. It has left the show in somewhat a bit of a peril in regards to if it's coming back, if it's coming back with the full cast, if it's coming back with some people gone. What's going to happen? You know, is a reboot in its future, or what are we going to do? We already know from the sharing of that I had provided earlier that they were looking at a 2025 late time frame to early 2026 if it does return. So that's a little bit disheartening because, you know, it's nice to see those shows kind of go on that rotation, but everything is taking a pause, right? So all things hiatus, and you can obviously check it out on Peacock. For sure, make sure you check out the videos that I have shared about Real Housewives of New Jersey, because we really got into it this past season in regards to all the things that were going on, because there was just so much going on. So this video is just going to go ahead and continue on with the ladies and some additional sharing points of what was provided in some of the interviews and maybe possible podcasts and VMA interviews that they were doing as well. And so I thought it was really interesting to kind of get their take on things. And now they seem to be really freely in talking about that. So for sure, make sure you take a listen and a watch, to the last video as well. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section so we can talk about it in there as well. So with that, we're going to, like I said, carry on with this video. So let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to be covering today in this one. Now we're going to get into Jackie and how she's discussing the backlash that she received on RHONJ. If I can get it out, RHONJ, and how she admits that she's not in Teresa's inner circle. We touched on that in the last video as well. Plus, if she's open to a friendship with Margaret, we touched a little bit on that as well, and her thoughts with the future of the show. So we'll see if the sharing gives a little bit more details in regards to that. Jackie, by the way, has done a lot of talking. I figure she probably thought, look, I didn't get all that I needed on the season, so I'm going to go ahead and take it out here on these interviews, and she is definitely hitting that beat. Next, we're going to also again talk about Jackie, how she delves into the Louis secret, the one that she didn't like having. So we didn't know all about that secret. I don't really necessarily think that this sharing is going to give us all of the juicy details, but maybe it will surround the feelings in regards to what was shared and maybe some more details on how that all fell onto her lap. So I thought that was an interesting point to provide. Also, we're going to be talking about Teresa, who says she doesn't think America, okay, not just her fans, but America is done with her. As she specifically says, I don't think America's done with me. All right, we'll see. You let me know. Is America done with her? Now, once we cover her thoughts about how she feels important as part of this franchise, which, don't get me wrong, she is. We were going to then go ahead and wrap up with speaking about how Delores would still like to see the entire cast to return. And quite frankly, I'm of that minority myself. I have shared this lovingly in regards to the fact that I would love to see the cast come together in some kind of way, but I don't really know what type of group trip or friendship trip, genre, I can't think of the word right now. With therapists, with group activity, I just don't know what it will take to make it happen, but I wish it would. So let's go ahead and jump into the first sharing, which we are going to be talking about Jackie discussing the backlash and admitting that she's not in the inner circle and so forth and so forth. So according to Reality Blur, the latest season of The Real Housewives of New Jersey has been over for a few weeks. However, speculation about the show's future seems never ending. Of course, many fans and people on the cast turned against Jackie after it was revealed that she had been in contact with Louis' ex. Now she's opening up about the backlash she received and where she stands with Teresa today. Plus, she shares that she thinks the future of RHONJ might be and what her thoughts are going to be. Of course, fans will recall that the show's latest season got extremely dark, even by RHONJ standards. This culminated in the show not having a traditional reunion, but instead a watch party that most fans felt let down by. Recently, Jackie was on the red carpet for the MTV Video Music Awards. While there, she spoke to US Weekly and had quite a bit to say. When asked what life has been like since the season ended, she said, "It's very normal. I mean, like, I'm busy. I got my podcast. I wrote another chapter for my paperbacks coming out. I've got the 4 kids going back to school. So, it's been very busy, but it's been nice to let all the hate die down and to realize how fast the cycle is. And, people come back to you." The interviewer then asked if she expected the backlash she received from the end of the season. She says, "I knew it was coming, but I also know it only exists in my phone. Like, you might meet people in real life and everyone is so loving. It's all part of it." She then says she has maintained her friendship with Teresa, but explains, "No, I don't think we're a part of each other's inner circles, but we are both very interested in growing a friendship." Regarding if she and Margaret Joseph could ever be friends, Jackie says, "Yeah, I don't hate anybody on the cast. I don't have a bad word to say about anybody. Everybody, that didn't come out all the way, was making a show. I really don't have a bad word to say about anybody. Margaret and I were friends for a very long time. I don't think anything was like that crazy that we can't get over it. I know it was like the bombshell of the finale, but in reality, it wasn't that big of a deal." She continues, "But I am a forgiver and I like to let go of things. So I can't answer for everyone else. There are other people who love to fight. I'm not one of those people. So for me, yes. For her, I don't know." It's interesting that Jackie says she doesn't like to walk around in unforgiveness, but I do feel like there was a bit of that going on within the season. But maybe she felt she was attacked, through the ritual between Jackie, and even Delores had to bring it to her a couple of times. So maybe that would be her response to that. Now, Jackie then says she didn't see that revelation from the finale coming, but then explains, "But as soon as she started talking, I was like, uh-oh, I know it's coming, but I have to say it was a secret that I didn't like having." She continues to say she knew how the world would react to the secret, but was glad it was finally out despite the backlash she received. She goes on, "When Teresa, was like, I don't even care, I knew we could move forward with honesty because you can't keep a secret like that from a friend and have a normal friendship. Although I do believe, in my personal opinion, Jackie would have continued to foster that friendship with that secret." Just saying. The conversation then turns to the future of RHONJ and what it will look like. Jackie says, "It's such a great show that I can't imagine that it wouldn't come back in some form. I do think things are going to change because they sort of have to. It got too dark. The problem with Jersey is that fights go too far and they get too dark and they get too heavy and you can't come back from them." She continues, "I would like to see a cast that includes me." me, where the fighting is more petty and you can come back from it and have a good time. She also says she doesn't see Bravo creating 2 separate shows for RHONJ, but having a cast with some old and some new, and fans, of course, can catch up on Peacock. I'm not a big fan of the split shows either. I know that was something that was brought up in the course of the reboot and reimagined RHONY, and I didn't really think that was going to work. Honestly, I thought that would be trying to, I don't know, too tugging and pulling between the shows for fans. That's just my thoughts. Personally, I would not have watched one and I would have watched the other. That's kind of how I felt. I was done. When it was done, it was done, right? I didn't want to keep belaboring the point. And I just felt like it was just holding on to the last bit of gas that it may have had with some people, but it needed to switch. It needed to move on. It needed to change. And I'm glad that it did. And they're getting ready to start with their next season again. So, that's a good thing. This reboot was a success. I don't think it's necessary for each and every franchise. I'm not ready for that. I still have my hopes up for Roa as well and Potomac as well. I don't mind the interchanging right now. I think that's good. I don't think the foundation needed to be shook as much as RHONY needed. So there you have it. And of course, if you're interested in some of the past, cast members that were on RHONY, they do have that Ultimate Girls Trip show going on right now. I'm not watching it, but if you are, feel free to share it down below. Let me know if it's good or anything. I don't tend to watch all the Ultimate Girls Trips. I've only caught like a couple of them. But I would love to know your thoughts. If you're enjoying it, definitely leave those down below. So that's where we're at with that situation. She didn't really go into too much about what the secret was. And I just shared earlier, I didn't think she was going to, but that she did feel like it was a burdensome situation. Although I do feel too that she probably would have kept on holding on to that secret, because sometimes when you hold on to it, and with such a volatile response that she probably would have gotten from Teresa, she could just easily say, look, it's very dead and gone. If no one doesn't speak on it, it doesn't come out, then maybe I could hold on to it and we just continue to keep building that friendship. And I just don't know if I see a space in where Jackie would have actually sat down with Teresa and just voluntarily given that information. It had to come out the way that it did. And I'm glad that it did, so that way we can get off of the Margaret dislike train, if you will, coming from the perspective of whether or not she did or didn't do something. Now, does it mean she didn't do other things? Maybe not. I don't know. Don't even really care. At this point, I'm just so glad that we got this part over. And so therefore, it doesn't need to move on into the next season unless it's about addressing the fact that it was Jackie. But at least it won't be Margaret at the helm. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to our next sharing, which is going to be a little bit more, I guess, in detail. Okay, in regards to Jackie and Laura's secret and the fact that she didn't like having that secret. So we'll see if it goes a little bit more deeper in this sharing. Let's go ahead and get into it. So now, according to Reality T, alum Jackie delves into Louis Riela's secret she didn't like having. All right, let's get it. Jackie shocked fans and castmates on both sides of the aisle during the Real Housewives of New Jersey season 14 finale. She admitted to having contacted Teresa, husband Louis, exes, in order to get dirt on the couple at a time when she was in conflict with the RHONJ veteran. After gluing herself to all season, the betrayal was all the more intense all at the time of the filming. Teresa acted indifferent, but how did she really feel when she processed the info? Remember when Delores actually was talking with Jackie Aiden? Jackie said, she sometimes needs a little bit of time to just kind of soak it in, but she'll respond. So now, but how does she really feel when she processed the info? Jackie updated her fans on her current status with Teresa during a recent interview. It's interesting how I'm not hearing Teresa's take on this. We're just hearing Jackie's. Now, Jackie and Teresa could never pursue a true friendship had the secret not come out. But I'm telling you, Jackie sure as heck would have wanted to. Now, Jackie exclusively told US Weekly that she was relieved, when the secret came out, courtesy of co-star Margaret Josephs. It was a secret that I didn't like having. It was bad when it got revealed, she shared. I knew the whole world was going to make it a big deal, but it actually felt very good to me not to have a secret anymore. According to the weight of beautiful author, there couldn't be an authentic and true friendship with Teresa until it all came to light. I knew that once it was revealed, if we decided to move forward as friends, that friendship was going to be true, Jackie continued. When she was like, I didn't even care, then I knew we could really move forward with honesty. Perhaps the secret never would have come out if Teresa wasn't pursuing Margaret so intensely all season. Would Jackie have come clean in that case? RHONJ fans will never know. Again, you can't keep a secret like that from a friend and have a normal friendship, she said. Currently, the duo are not part of each other's inner circles, which has been shared in a couple of sharings prior. However, Jackie feels that both Teresa and her are invested in growing a friendship. And again, I ask, what is Teresa's take on that, right? We hear a lot from Jackie, but I'm not hearing anything from Teresa. And I don't think it's going to pop up in any of these sharings either. At the end of the day, friendships cannot be one-sided. And I feel like this would be an example of that when you have only one person who is touting in front of everybody, and the other one is choosing to stay mum. And Teresa is never really mum about who she's aligned with. She's always very forthright and upfront about who her friends are and who she considers her friends. And let's face it, I do believe betrayal is an issue for Teresa. And even though she may understand intellectually that, of course, this is a get back because I hurt her and she realized that she had hurt her, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she will think that she could fully trust her either. Let's not forget that Teresa and Jackie never really cared for each other. I don't even think that she really cared for her much in the first season when Jackie entered the show. I kind of remember like the second or third episode, and I don't even think it took the third episode, but they were already at each other's because she had stepped in, me and Jackie, into a conversation, being that she was friends with Melissa and trying to be kind of that go-between, hoping that she can infuse some kind of positivity that would make Teresa come back to the fold. And Teresa was not having it. She also had mentioned something about the situation with incarcerations that Teresa and her first husband, Joe, had went through. She wasn't hearing that. You know, at the end of the day, Jackie also was sharing about how your influence as a wife to the first husband, how come that didn't change course of what happened to you? She wasn't trying to hear that either. So with that being said, I don't know if there's really a true foundation, again, for this relationship to really actually grow from. So I guess time will tell, right? So let's go ahead and move into our next sharing, which is going to be covering Teresa's take on the fact that she feels America is not done with her. It is not done with her. So if you are a Teresa fan, here's a nice opportunity to share that down below, respectively, of course. You know, some of us may be on one or the other, but, you know, at the end of the day, I know for me, I see both sides of the situation. I think both ladies, and being in particular, Teresa and Melissa, have done some things that were not maybe the best in cohesiveness in trying to repair the relationship, but we don't know the true story about everything. We can speculate all day long, but we don't know the true story of what exactly happened. So either one of the ladies actually authentically and truthfully share it, even the parts that make them look undesirable in the situation, as well as making sure that you are maybe even talking about when each other did try to forge a friendship. Sometimes too much hurt or water under the bridge is just that, too much hurt and water under the bridge. So let's go ahead and get on to Teresa's affirming of her position. And, look, she's an OG, she's a veteran, she's a star. So we're not going to take that from her. All right. So now, according to Reality T, Teresa on RHONJ Reboot, all right, says, I don't think America's done with me. It's hard to imagine a universe of Real Housewives of New Jersey without Teresa at its center. And quite frankly, I kind of feel the same. She's the OG of OGs in the Garden State. Need proof? Let us not forget that Bravo paused filming the show while Teresa finished her stint at camp back in the day. Camp, that's cute. That's legendary status, right? The whole show altered its season premiere in order to make sure to fit her in where she could be fit in, because remember, it was a bit wonky in the beginning because there was so many restrictions that she had as well. Now, Teresa's charm on RHONJ has lost its luster in recent seasons. Tree has always been one to say whatever she's thinking, whatever it's nice or whether it's nice or not. However, it's become increasingly harder to back Teresa up in the majority of her conflicts. Her staunch defense of Louis doesn't help either. It's left us wondering, with the future of RHONJ up in the air, does Teresa have a place on the show she helped create anymore? Now, Teresa hopes her time isn't up. In a recent episode of her Turning the Tables podcast, Teresa finally addressed the fan questions regarding the future of RHONJ. While she recognized that a cast switch-up is necessary, she's not ready for a full reboot yet. Okay. I don't think America's done with me yet. Oh, so she's not ready for the full reboot if it means she's not part of it. I got it, because she wouldn't be if it was a full reboot. I feel like they want to see more of me, Teresa said. I'm hoping they get rid of some people and keep some of us on. Well, yeah, that's Teresa we know and know. It's interesting considering many fans have vocally criticized Teresa for her negative impact on the show, but Tree says she's not the problem. Particularly, she teased that fans will see a new side of her in the upcoming season of House of Villains. Okay, that's a great way to plug a new show in. So there's plenty more to give. Maybe that'll keep or help with making a decision. Teresa said of how the show's upcoming premiere, that sounds like some very wishful thinking, but hey, look, we wish her luck. So Real Housewives of New Jersey, obviously streaming on Peacock. So again, I think in that sharing, we just pretty much got that Teresa feels that she is the one that needs to stay on the show, period, point blank. And a reboot means you don't get her. And quite frankly, she's doing us a favor by allowing us to see her, because we're not over her yet. And look, I also, on side note, liked the show, which is actually a new show, House of Villain. It is in its season number 2, which I don't know who the rest of the cast members are at this point, but Teresa has been in the commercial, promos for the upcoming season that's going to be coming up, I think, right around the corner. I want to say early October, but definitely check your local listings for that. It is on VH1, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely take a look at that. I saw the first season. It was so funny. We had New York from all of the funny reality shows that she did with Flavor Flav and so forth. I mean, she really doesn't need any introduction. She is one of the originals that did it well and continues to do it well. It was a really funny season. I'm hoping that the second season, because I will definitely be watching. And I'm sorry, I don't think it's VH1. I think it might be on E. Either one, but definitely check it out. If I can recall and remember later on as it gets closer and I see it, I'll make sure to drop it in here and let you guys know. But it is a really funny show. It was a funny show anyway. So hopefully the second season will be the same and not have the toxicity that we are so much used to seeing on the Real Housewives or any other show that brings nothing but toxicity. This was a really fun premise. And so hopefully it will be a success for the next season, so we can see another season of a new set of villains. But yeah, it is a good show. I'm not surprised she's on it. It's a great opportunity to continue her face and awareness and likeness out there. So we'll see how that plays into coming back to RHONJ. So that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the next sharing. We are going to be now talking about Delores. So let's see what Delores is talking about. All right. We're talking Delores, and we're actually wrapping up with her. So now, according to Reality T, Delores says she would still like the entire RHONJ cast to return, and I love that so much because, hey, I feel the same way. So let's get into it. Season 14 of Real Housewives of New Jersey, of course, we all know is dark and difficult. Teresa Giudice and Melissa Gorga refused to interact on camera except at the finale. Then they called each other terms of endearment like white trash and, the hooker of the night. We'll just say that. The rest of the cast remained divided, either supporting Melissa or Teresa. While Delores strived to remain Switzerland amid the conflict, she didn't always succeed. Now Bravo is planning to give RHONJ a makeover, but Delores would like the whole gang to stay together. Heaven help us all. And quite frankly, both the name calling between the two of them in there was disgusting. The trash reference was disgusting, and so was the Lady of the Night situation was disgusting. It really was. I was like, okay, now we're just going too far. Like, honestly, really, like, can we not? But that was my feelings on that. Now, Delores wants the same RHONJ cast as season 14 because at the end of the day, I feel like they're somewhat like family, right? So now Andy Cohen had made it clear that the show could not continue the same way with such a toxic cast. Honestly, we all felt that way, I think. And I think that's where that's coming from. I think if we were all cool with it, they'd still continue on. The season 14 reunion wasn't filmed because the cast, of course, members were so divided. He had teased a complete reboot, then walked back to his remarks. However, a complete or partial reboot for the cast is still on the table. Unfortunately, no decisions will be made for quite a while, but I think that they are working the casting part out. Some of the cast members spoke out about the future of the show. I see it coming back because it was too good not to. Delores actually shared it in another previous reading that we did here as well. In a perfect world, I feel we are an ensemble cast. Delores told US Weekly, I would like for us all to come back, but that's not up to me. She also noted that she hasn't heard anything about RHONJ's future. She said that before as well. And she says, I hope that Delores returns next season because she is the MVP of the series. She can feud with Jackie, handle Teresa, and get along with her other co-stars. And that would appear to be the thoughts of those person that actually shared this sharing. But Delores is also realistic. While she may be hopeful that the whole cast gets the nod, she also realizes it may not happen. I always said no matter how our expiration date happens, I would leave gracefully with a lot of gratitude because this series has done so much for me, Delores previously said. Now, Jen Fessler and Jackie Goldschneider shared their ideas of season 15 of RHONJ. Let's see if there's some additional details here in regards to their sharing versus what was already provided in my previous video. Now, meanwhile, friends of the Housewives of Jen Fessler and Jackie also weighed in. They predicted it comes back with at least some of the current cast. Jen had told US Weekly, she says she does predict new people. And she also joked that she would gladly step in a full-time role. And that was hinted in the last sharing from the last video. So I'm feeling that she's going to be one of those new people, which then it's kind of like old makes new or before makes new, then it's not really new. And there's still that continuity that we will love. Because I think that Jen Fessler definitely had a really good reception towards the show. Then Jackie shared her view of what should happen with RHONJ. It's such a great show that I can imagine that it wouldn't come back in some form. I do think things are going to have to change because they sort of have to. It got too dark. Jackie explained, she added, I would love to see a cast that includes me. We heard that before, where the fighting is more petty and you can come back from it and have a good time. Well, maybe clinging to Teresa last season will give Jackie a leg up. I don't know if that's necessarily true. So of course it will be interesting to see how Bravo decides to revamp the sinking franchise, which I don't know, is it really sinking? But the Real Housewives of New Jersey is again streaming on Peacock. I don't know if it's sinking. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too positive on that. I don't know. Maybe it is sinking. Maybe that's the whole reason why we're here. It definitely needs a bit of a refresh, but doesn't most of the franchises get that from time to time? I mean, at the end of the day, even the ones that are the least problematic, we end up seeing at least a change up or two within 2 or 3 seasons from the original It's Okay type of version. So I definitely want to see this franchise continue on. Again, I too feel it's too good to move away, but I would love to see a place in which there's more harmony between the friends. And I agree with Jackie on one thing, that let the fights remain petty and on the show and easy enough to move forward, move past it. Now, we're not looking for contrived storylines. We're not looking for lightweight softball type of situations. But I think what was such a good point that Margaret had made in the video that I had shared prior is we need some levity, right? We need an opportunity for there to be some space for grace. We need an opportunity for fun and forgiveness and moving on. And that's a lot of what the issue is. We don't move on. We don't move forward. This is why I mentioned in one of my Married in Medicine videos that one thing I do appreciate about Married in Medicine, not 100% every case, because sometimes real relationships have real issues and real feelings can't be wrapped up in a 15 show arc. However, for the most part, a lot of their issues, they do get to a point of moving forward and put a pin in whatever that situation is. Again, it's not always perfect because relationships don't always work out that way. It's kind of like, you have a problem on a TV show and in 30 minutes that TV show's over, so the problem is fixed. Not always. But the belaboring of issues that are so ridiculous or mundane or have already been addressed and forgiven already, those are the types of issues that seem to permeate a lot of some of these franchises anyways, but a lot within RHONJ recently in the last few seasons. It didn't seem to be so much so in the beginning, but maybe it's because a lot of it was anchoring under one individual, and that was Danielle at that time, Danielle Staub. And so she was the villain, if you will, of the show. But there was so much love even in her situation with her girls and everything like that. So there was still that family fun element and bring together moments that I think we missed so much of from the current state of things with RHONJ, and maybe even so with some of the other seasons as well. Now, as you may know, at this point, we are also getting ready to see Potomac hit the streets again, and we're going to get into all the things going on there. So a lot of changes, I think, are happening with that, with some pivotal individuals. So again, that's another opportunity for them to move forward, and I hope that RHONJ takes that, page from that book as well. Orange County, same thing. I mean, we thought that Orange County was probably going to hit the toilet as well because it was going down, 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 down. But at the end of the day, they were able to find a way to get it in a position to bring it back to life, and we'll see how long that lasts. A lot going on over there right now currently too. So yeah, at this point, I really would love to know your thoughts. Definitely go ahead and respectfully leave those down below. I would love to know so much about what you're thinking about RHONJ. If you are watching, if you plan on watching, and again, are you waiting on bated breath to see what happens, or you just kind of just take it as it comes? Most of us are probably in that mode because there's so many other things going on right now in the world today. But that being said, I'm so glad that you took some time to finish out listening to the sharings and the continuation of those sharings of the cast and getting their insights and what they wanted to provide to us as the fans, and some of the things that we think are speculative, although where it could go. And I think that was always fun to just see their point of view as well, because they try to say what they can say when the shows are airing, and then when the show kind of goes into hiatus, you get a little bit more preview into what is really going on and more insight into what's happening. So I appreciated it for sure. Again, we didn't get the nitty gritty on Louis' situation, but I don't even think that matters anymore. I don't think it's necessary for us to go through that and dissect it to the nth degree, which is what would happen if it ever did come out. But if it is something that does come out, let it be from their camp. So that way it can be dealt with in a way that is acceptable for them, and we don't have to hear the continued backlash. And I'm sure Marco would be very thankful for that as well. So that being said, I'm going to bid you adieu on this video. If you are new here, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and be part of the family. I would so love to have you. And of course, for all of you that have already been here and part of the family, I appreciate you so much. I thank you so much. And yeah, I just want to continue to load up the updates of these videos and get your thoughts as well, as I like to share mine. And of course, if you appreciate the updates, go ahead and give the video a like. I would so appreciate that. And yeah, I do have a couple more videos that are going to be hitting the platform today. So make sure you have your all notification bells on, so that we can discuss those things as well, or just take back and enjoy what's being shared. At the end of the day, you know, some of these things are not going to be as deep and sorted as some of the other stuff that's going on right now that I think we all need a little bit of break from. But, you know, hey, I'm paying attention to it too. And who knows, I may share about my thoughts on those things too. And I think you know what I'm talking about. So with that being said, and keeping it light and airy, go ahead and definitely make sure you come back for those uploads coming up as well. And don't forget to catch the first video that I had today that talked about the first set of sharings from the ladies in the cast for RHONJ as well. So with that being said, I will bid you adieu. Thank you so much again for being here. You take care and be blessed. And until next time, bye.